Okay. Shall we? They're all trusting me. Oh, wait. Thanks. So, are we ready? Logging up my own glasses. Sorry about that. I'm looking for tech too. Are we good? Great. So, I would like to please call our meeting to order on this Wednesday, May 16th at 6:02. Excuse me. Thank you. The role of Kim Leonard will be played by Michael O'Miller this evening. So thank you for being on the spot secretary already. So Wednesday, May 18th at now 6:03. If we could call that meeting to order with a roll call, please.
Judy Rayson,
Yes.
Rachel Merriquin,
Yes.
Michael O'Miller present, Denise Jones.
Yes.
Claudia Parker,
Yay.
Colleen Clemzak.
Present. And Kim Leonard is an excused absence. She has a function for her daughter at the high school today. So, if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have just a couple changes to our agenda for this evening before we approve. I will draw your attention to page 2, item B at the very top. We don't need to make committee changes, even we were hoping that that was actually a thing. That's actually something that we only do this month in an election year. So because we haven't had new board members or newly elected board members, we will strike that from our discussion. And then in addition, there's an action item B, number 4 and 5, our meeting minutes for the 13th, both closed and open, are not available yet, but they will be for our next board meeting. So just those two changes. So if I could have someone please make a motion to accept the agenda with those two changes, please.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Claudia, and a second.
I'll second.
Great, thanks, Rachel. And a roll call?
Claudia Parker,
Yay.
Rachel Merriquin,
Yes.
Judy Rayson,
Yes.
Denise Jones,
Yes.
Michael O'Miller, yay, Colleen Clemzak.
Yes. Great, thank you so much. I will turn it over to Dr. Wood.
Okay, our first announcement for this evening comes from Ms. Linda Panico, and it's an update regarding the District 124 Foundation Report. Welcome, Linda. She has some very exciting news to share with us tonight.
So much good news tonight. So good evening. I am Linda Panico, president of the District 124 Foundation. The last few weeks we've been very busy with our fundraising, so we have lots of news. First, before we start that, right before, sorry,
Okay.
I don't know if you got my other slide. If not, it was a picture slide. Don't worry if you didn't
I
get
show
it.
it there, but it's not coming up, so.
That's okay. So right before spring break, the foundation sent all of our schools a little gift. Weather was turning nice. We sent everybody, we thought we'd have a picture tonight, but it was a giant Connect 4 game for outside, checkers and a Jenga. And then Central having a few more kids than the other schools got those balls that you blow up and you bump into each other. So they had some fun gifts for all the schools, just kind of, you know. We haven't seen Mr. Swoley's pictures on that yet, but we're gonna get them. All right.
We have a big date planned.
So we just thought all the schools could get a little treat for all the students. So those were sent out. So next we had our Culver's competition. So it was all 5 schools for over the last few weeks. And it was a close competition. We raised for the foundation $858.50. And one of our schools will be the winner to get ice cream for all the kids. And our winner was Southwest. So Mr. Liska, congratulations. Your school.
I brought them a lot of ice cream for my family.
Exactly. So we will work that out with you to get that over to you. The next one is our STEAM Pop Fundraiser, which is amazing. It was, we had it less than 10 days about. That was everybody sent out an email to promote this. And the students, if they turn in a raffle or golden ticket the next day, they got prizes. So our profit after the 10 days, we brought in $17,945 for the foundation. And this is based on all the donations that our families did. It's amazing how many emails, it was like thousands of emails went out, we could see the count. It was really, it was fun to watch. So on top of that, we also get rewards, we get gift cards for the schools. So we raised for the schools $3,589 that will go to all 5 schools. When we divide it out, it comes out to $717 per school to spend, but the foundation is gonna round it to $1,000. So each principal will get a $1,000 gift card to order STEAM games and whatever's on this website, activities for their teachers and for the classrooms, and so we're excited for that. So that'll be in the next course of a couple weeks. And on top of the money raised, there's a $7,178 in addition raised that will go to all of the products that the students won. So we had so much fun with the golden raffle ticket prizes. Now we have another shipment, and these were like light up chairs, Bluetooth speakers, I don't know, an airplane. If they raised over like $500 or $600, they would get Amazon gift cards. We had, I think, 5 students in the district raise between $500 and $600 alone. So it was pretty fun to see all this. So those gifts are gonna be coming in the next few weeks. Our gift cards will be coming. We will get those out to the principals and they can spend. So we appreciate all the help that everybody gave to make this very successful for the foundation. And regarding that, just to thank Samantha Mork, our treasurer, and Sonia Hernandez. That golden ticket was, we had no idea what to expect, and thank God the 2 of them could pull it together and it all worked out. But I appreciate, and all the building secretaries, I know there was a mess, there was a lot of prizes, but we appreciate it. Next year, it'll be bigger and better, but we'll be a little more organized. The last thing we have is, I know everybody's excited, school's almost over, but we are worrying about the back to school bash already. We are 14 weeks away. Yes, I'm counting. So, very excited. We have secured our foam, and Dr. Woodland is going to participate this year in that. And we'll be hitting everybody for our sponsorships again, community baskets. So spread the word. We are starting on the back to school bash.
I'll fly the drone.
What's that?
I said I'll fly the drone.
Oh, yes, we talked about that.
Yes.
That would be perfect. We'll have it, hopefully we'll have nice weather too.
Right.
We're putting you
right.
down, you're the drone, you're on top of that
Yes,
night.
the pilot.
Putting that on my notes.
Perfect. So other than that, we just want to thank everybody for the help on all these fundraisers these last few weeks. By raising this kind of money, we are going to be able to help our schools purchase more equipment. We will be reaching out to the principals at the end of the school year for a wish list of maybe gym equipment, outside equipment, and that we're gonna look to see what we can start helping provide to the schools. And then as we have changed our direction with the foundation as well, helping our families in need. So by raising this kind of money, we can continue to help our families and help our schools, and hopefully we'll have another successful fundraiser next year, so. That's it.
I just have to ask a question. I'm so curious what Northeast is going to request as their big one.
So we already know what Northeast has been asking for, but it actually had, Northeast is getting a Gaga Ball pit, so everybody knows it has been approved. It actually was approved pre-COVID with our last board, and I think we slipped through the cracks a little bit. But I'm gonna pay that tonight, and we're gonna get her a Gaga Ball pit.
Got the credit card?
I got the
She
credit
is so
card.
ready. You missed the meeting. She was ready. If you had been there, it'd be done already.
I would have done it right while you were sitting
Right then?
I
there.
heard my keys back, I think, yeah.
We are getting a Gaga Ball pit for Northeast, so that is the first thing. And then
And then
hopefully.
the other buildings will submit their requests.
Yeah, so everybody, she could still put a request in, because that was previous to this. But yes, we're gonna have everybody put a request in and tell us what they're looking for, whether, like a rock wall or whatever,
Great.
we'll help out. So that is all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. all the work that went into everything that you are accomplishing for the district, that all of the foundation is accomplishing. Thank you so much. Sure. Truly.
Okay, our next guest is actually gonna be presented by Mr. Liska. So I'm gonna have him come up and present an art contest winner.
Okay, so another, I got an email one day and it was from an unknown sender. And so we've been doing a lot of preparation around our digital security lately and things like that. So I immediately reached out to Roland Hernandez and said, Roland, is this legit? And he said, yes, you can go ahead, you can click the link, you can open it. But what the email was about was a Southwest fifth grade student had won an art contest with the Chicago Sun-Times. And so Mrs. Gorman, who is retiring this year, just does a fantastic job with all of the kids that she works with and really bringing out just some absolutely tremendous art. We love when she's in our building because the hallways just are filled with beautiful art. But she submitted some entries to the Sun-Times for a thematic project where the goal was to focus on the concept of spring ahead. And Violet Violet's entry was chosen out of hundreds of entrants across the Chicagoland area, and they had some local artists critique the students' work. And so I'll just read one of the artists' snapshots. So, what a clever way to think about the concept of spring and winter being captured within a portrait. I love how the artist chose and rendered traditional symbols and colors to represent the change of seasons. Great use of color and detail. Ms. Summers is actually attending, I believe, the high school event that was referenced earlier this evening with her family. So she was unable to make it tonight, but we're certainly going to celebrate her as a school and in the future for her accomplishments. So there's a picture of her portrait.
Thank you so much.
It's remarkable. It
It is
really
awesome.
is. Can you deliver this?
Absolutely, yeah. I'd be
Yes.
delighted to.
Thank you so much, Mr. Liska.
Thank you that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Unsolicited arrives
Yes.
in your inbox and you said, well, yes, that sounds great, thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I know, right?
Okay. Our next update is in regards to strategic planning. So we just completed our fourth and final session for strategic planning. And I have to just thank everyone who participated. We had a long list of participants that included family members, community members, parents, teachers, board members, and it was really truly just a dedicated group of educators and community members who came together to really talk about the process of continuous improvement. I think one of the most eye-opening events that really came to terms with me is that you're really able to get to deep level conversation on how we're doing so many great things, but how do we just get better? And listening to our stakeholders and then putting together a concrete plan that really allows the district to move forward. I think one of the main aspects of our plan that I really heard loud and clear was that we want action. That we're ready to do, we're ready to move forward, we're ready to really talk about how do we make this come to life and really work to better our students and better our community as a whole. And so throughout the process, we really narrowed our focus to 5 main goal areas. And those 5 main goal areas are culture, communication, curriculum and instruction, diversity, equity and inclusion, and student support services. So I've asked each facilitator to come up tonight and really speak to the specific goal areas that are portrayed in front of you today. And we're gonna start with Mr. Phil Abraham to speak on culture.
Hi, good evening. How we doing? All right. So I'm gonna talk about this and kind of summarize a lot of the work that we have done. But ultimately, I have the goal area of culture. And so the best way I look at it is what's the way of life? Like, how do we do things? How do we kind of conform to things and condition ourselves to that? And how do we answer to the question as we've always done it that way? So when you look at it, some of the feedback that was shared and that we've written into this strategic plan is looking for collaboration. So more opportunities for staff to have opportunities to seek that collaboration within the buildings and within each other. Another piece was community seeking to feel a level of acceptance within the buildings and within the district. So those were two big pieces that we want to start kind of creating this norm of culture. So that's a community and parent piece, but also a staff piece. How do we increase opportunities for parent involvement stood out. Bridging the gap between home and school, building that partnership between school and home, and opportunities that we can form to increase more involvement with staff within each other and building that within each other. So how do we condition ourselves to do that? How do we do that? So one example I brought in when I was presenting was when I was a principal for many years, I walked into a school where the norm, the culture was to write kids up for catching them doing the bad things, wrong things, whatever we disagreed with. And I was very uncomfortable with it because that's all we did was talk about what they did wrong. And I always said, well, what do we do right? You know, what are some of the things that you're catching them doing the right thing? So we flipped it from what was called a green slip to a park pat. And so that culture when I came in was more of a negative culture. And I wanted to flip the script and turn it into catching them doing the right things. And as time went on, people learned this practice. They weren't so uncomfortable about it. They were seeing other people starting to hand park pats out. We were calling kids down. We were giving examples of what they did right. And then it started to kind of catch fire. And it turned that negative into a positive. And that flipped the culture of catching kids doing the right thing versus the wrong thing. So that's the way I kind of described it, is that you have to build on it. It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes effort from everybody, not just one person. So it's a philosophy that should be under the umbrella of the whole school district, but also the school, and conform within one another. So with that being said, some of the goals that were created is 1A was the district shall create a culture that accepts all students, staff, and community members. So again, that level of acceptance. And some of the criteria that we would look at to say, are we meeting that goal would be, are we including student voice in decision-making process? Is the district working with students, staff, families to encourage the environment of respect and value? And how are we indicating that success? The district will use a school culture rubric within each school to gather feedback annually. So we're always kind of taking a dipping stick of where are we at currently, and then how do we improve from there. And the district will provide a safe space for community members and parents to share feedback. So again, this was brought to our attention through many groups that were kind of facilitating, through kind of a roundabout where they would go and check in with each group. They would provide feedback, we would take it and look at what our feedback was, and then kind of revamp some of the verbiage that we had, and then try to really mold what was being shared with us from all stakeholders. And then that was developed through that success criteria. So that was 1A. 1B, the district shall create a culture that accepts and encourages teacher voice and teacher collaboration throughout the decision-making process. Some of the success criteria for that was making sure that we are increasing teacher retention. Are they staying and working together, or are they looking for other jobs in other places? So what is our retention rate at each year? The district will use the school district culture survey to gather feedback, again, just based off of culture and morale. So where are we at with that, and kind of gauging that each and every year, collecting that data. The district will increase the amount of teacher leadership in school district community opportunities for staff within the building and within the district. So how are we involving all of our staff members in our decision-making processes and on the committees and groups that we are providing them? The district will use listening tour data, and what was the biggest piece of that was not just doing the listening tours, but also what are some actions that can take place after we're collecting that feedback. That was really something that I heard loud and clear. And I felt like people felt like they have been listened to, and there has been value to those listening tours. And then the district will have ongoing staff share-outs and collect feedback based on those district initiatives. So just having an ongoing practice of just listening to us. Let the staff members say what they want to say, and have some of those share-out sessions and on an ongoing basis. And then 1C, the district shall create a culture where parent involvement is valued and prioritized. And some of those success criteria are the district will offer parent community forums to share that feedback. So that might be a coffee talk, it might be parent forums, it might be a town hall meeting, even though that is part of that criteria, but some of those offerings that we can do more ongoing. Parent outreach with positive feedback on district initiatives. The district will offer parent and community partnerships, parent involvement in district committees, school groups, and interview teams. So just like the staff would be part of some of these ongoing committees or interview groups, are we also involving our community members and parents? Parent ambassadors to new families. So again, this was feedback from some of our parents saying, how can we get them more involved with new families that are moving in? Sometimes we kind of miss the boat, or business is going on and we're missing some of our new families and getting them to help with their transitions within the schools and within the district. So having parents providing outreach and connecting our parents, our new parents with our schools and what's going on and what the happenings are. The district will offer parent university partnerships, so if there's any help with certification, or if there's any help that's needed with, again, transitioning into the school, with paperwork, residency, whatever, that we could have some of these things to kind of coach up our parents and get them more informed and better informed, and stay connected to our school district. And the last one is district shall create a culture where all schools are working together towards a unified vision. So if you really think of all these goals, that it's encompassed in 1D, is trying to put this all together as one, under this one roof of 124. And then are we providing community-based partnerships and community partnerships committees with all the stakeholders? Again, that's a lot of information all compacted in one, but again, it's really looking at the collaboration piece and making the staff feel like they're a part of this big picture, and also that we're building a partnership with our community and all of our stakeholders, so they feel like they're in partnership with our district as well. That's culture.
Thank you so
That's a lot.
much.
Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Most of us were there for
Yes.
most of it.
Yeah. Cool.
And
All right, thank
excited,
you.
very excited. Thank you so much.
Okay, communications, Carrie and Scott, thank you so much.
They are both so ready to communicate. Look at that, racing to the podium.
So I think it's nice that communication follows culture, because there's a lot of things that are intertwined in terms of what some of our goals ended up being. And just to echo what Phil said, it's a really great experience to hear from all of the different individuals. And the night we did the kind of the round robin meetings, because each person, each group kind of brought a little bit of a different perspective. And keyed us into some things we may have not have thought about previously, and so that's why it's always great. Many hands make light work, as they say. So communication is we think a very important one. Some of the concepts that were addressed and were emphasized was the concept of two-way communication, and so you heard Phil talk a little bit about that reciprocity and making sure that that's there. And then ultimately that timely and effective communication. Those things were what helped guide kind of our decision-making process around what goals we decided to go with.
So our first goal, 2A, is the district shall review and update the district's crisis management communication plan. So what's so awesome there is we do have a communication plan in place right now that we are utilizing and have implemented, but it's a good opportunity to take a look at that. So much has changed in the last 2 years that we have a good foundation we'll be able to add to that. So a couple key takeaways from that goal: that we will communicate the nature of the crisis to respective stakeholders. So if there's an emotional, physical threat, and we'll all be on the same page, and as like building leaders, we all know the same protocol and the guideline and what we will be following. And then the district will provide the resources necessary to the stakeholders in response to the crisis. I think that's key. You know, there's different tiers and different levels of crises. And so what's important is that we have these conversations and have these plans in place so we are more proactive than reactive. But again, and the stakeholders responsible, obviously the superintendent, the administrative team, will be conducting those conversations, and then of course reporting that out to our stakeholders.
Our second goal was the district shall engage, inform, and welcome new families to Evergreen Park School District 124. So Phil spoke a little bit to that. The elementary schools actually today had a kindergarten open house, and so it was fantastic to get to meet a lot of those new families. And I noticed as I was walking around and introducing myself, we had a really nice blend of, this is my first child in the district, and this is, I've done this before. And so utilizing some of those partnerships is one of the things that Phil referenced, and that's something that we want to be intentional about doing, and so that's one of our action items. Also looking at opportunities to communicate, those key dates, because if you're not on our listserv, right, if you don't get emails from us on a regular basis, how would you know that today's the day to register your child, or that these forms are what you need? And so just making sure that we're reaching out into the community as we build those community partnerships, that we can leverage those relationships to share that information on a wider level.
Cute story about the kindergarten open house today. So sorry, I had a sidebar.
Oh, you're good.
So two moms met for the very first time, so this falls into that, and they exchanged phone numbers, so I saw them. And then the mom's like, so-and-so, I just exchanged and got this mom's phone number, and he's like, yes, I have a new friend. It was like so cute, and I just, we had a great turnout too, so I was super excited. And just that opportunity that those little, like an hour creates, maybe a lifetime friendship, so. All right, so next is 2C, and the district shall share our story with all stakeholders of the staff and community. So I think what's important is, and sometimes in the realm of craziness and busyness, we're going to commit to updating our website frequently. With pictures, staff directory, drop-down tabs. This is a great opportunity to look at and track, the phishing and the actual contacts that are made on the website, and make sure that we are intentional about updating our information. I think that, again, it's not an excuse, but it's a time to reflect and say we need to do a better job of doing that. So with that, that's increase the percentage of parents signing up also and receiving text alerts. I know I'm, 3 kids and busy, and sometimes I function best on my phone when it, hits me in the face or, vibrates on my wrist, so that trying to figure out what the best platforms are, because we need to know that everyone has a different perspective and a different, choice in how they receive their information. So I think that will be very important. And then continue to email and print newsletters with increased readership and feedback from calls to action. And then we always want to, it's really, sometimes the not so great stories get passed along, but we want to make sure that we capitalize on the positive success stories with all the stakeholders as well.
Yes. If we feed the dragon, it will not be hungry.
Correct. Yes.
And so the second piece, or our goal, 2D, in terms of that communication piece, is just paying attention to making sure that while we push out a lot of information, that we also offer opportunities to receive information and feedback. So what are we doing to create those channels for reciprocal communication? And one of the key additions that we added after the last meeting was the inclusion of the students in there. And I think that's really powerful, that when we say all, we mean all. And so making sure that all of our stakeholders have a voice through those channels that we outline, to make sure we might think we are doing something well, but if the feedback says feedback is valid, and so we're going to take that to heart and figure out ways that we can do a better job, and that's an ongoing thing, always.
And then the last goal under communication, 2E, the district will communicate and establish systems for timely communication around incidents. This is a little bit more specific, but for example, power outages, school closings, maybe a community incident. So we want to make sure that the district will annually review technology resources to determine if updates are required. And then the district will implement a district-wide communications plan with student-parent issue communication. So that's actually connected to 2A, where we'll look at our our plan that we already have in place and make sure that we cover, circumstances outlined. But again, the stakeholders involved, it's everyone. It's the administrative team, technology department, teachers, and then the communications consultant. Are there any questions?
Dr. Carlson, curriculum and instruction. Hello, how are you? Good to see you.
I had curriculum and instruction, surprise. I would say that the feedback from the group was remarkably similar to what we've been hearing all year and what we really had been able to identify as strengths and weaknesses in what we had. Students coming back from a pandemic, we definitely see the gaps and see the weaknesses in where their knowledge is. So we recognize that we need to strengthen Tier 1 instruction across the board in Tier 1 curriculum. So with that being said, we said that we would focus on making sure that our instruction is based on standards and making sure that our expectations stay high. Wanting district common assessments, having research-based best practices for all of our students in all of our classrooms, making data-driven decisions that help us to drive our interventions that we're providing for students, and making sure that the choices we make are culturally responsive for students. With that being said, we had lots of goals. The first one was the district shall establish an instructional framework that includes small group, whole group, differentiation, including enrichment and project-based learning. So this really aligns to those research-based best practices. I'm excited to say we've started this work. We've started our district implementation team. Denise came and joined us at one of our meetings where we were really having these discussions with teachers and what good instruction looks like in the classroom. And we'll be able to start implementing that framework next year. So the success criteria, where the district will implement a common instructional framework and will provide job-embedded professional development based on that framework. So this framework will really give our instructional coaches a tool to coach around. When they're in classrooms, it will give them a piece that they can refer back to, and it will help us to drive our professional development that we're seeing in each of our buildings. So we're excited about that one. 3B, the district shall align all curricular goals, both vertically and horizontally, in grades pre-K to 8. So we started some of this work with our math committee and are looking at priority standards and having those meetings where we are both horizontally aligning those standards in all of our buildings at the grade levels, but also looking vertically and making sure that first grade is meeting with second grade and seventh grade is meeting with eighth grade and making sure that they align all the way up. So the success criteria, the district will complete curriculum maps and publish them on the district website. We'll also communicate quarterly that progress to all stakeholders, because this will take some time as we go through all content areas. The district will ensure that all students, including students with special needs, are provided access to the general education curriculum. So we need to, this was a piece that was valuable feedback that came to us on the last night, making sure that students that are in our special education classrooms can make that transition out and back into the gen ed classrooms and be able to continue with the grade level content that they are receiving. So we want them to be able to do that. 3C, the district shall review learning opportunities and offerings that align with 21st century practices. So a lot of the feedback that came even in the first initial meetings were things like having foreign languages at earlier grades, coding, increasing the amount of STEAM offerings and things like that. So we really want to look at all of it, and we know that a lot of these things are happening in classrooms. So really determining across the district what is already occurring and then what would be good offerings to add to that. So the success criteria, the district will complete an audit of current learning opportunities and recommendations for potential offerings that would align to those 21st century practices. 3D, the district shall provide access and opportunity to all students and staff with the most up-to-date technology devices and resources to enhance their learning. Again, we're doing great things with technology and our kids have wonderful access. We offer a lot of things. We want to make sure to do an audit of those things, make sure we're offering the correct things in the correct places, and that it aligns to our instructional goals at all grade levels. So the district will complete an audit of current educational technology resources and usage reports, because we have many things that our teachers are utilizing, and sometimes maybe making it a little bit less and doing a better job with fewer things is actually better. The district will complete a document indicating educational technology resources aligned to the grade level curriculum, and we will also report on updated technology resources annually. 3E, the district shall adjust curricular goals to increase overall academic achievement and growth of student learning. Obviously, this is what we're here for. We want to make sure that our students continue to achieve at high levels, and we really hope that the steps that we're going to take will increase that. Increase not only the growth, but also students that are achieving at grade level. So the district will increase academic growth and achievement in both state and local district data. The district will report growth and achievement data to the Board of Education, staff, and the community annually. So we want to make sure that we're sharing out our progress regularly. And lastly, 3F. The district shall create common assessments aligned to grade level standards. This has really been something that we've been hearing about since the beginning of this school year. We want to make sure that students that are assessed at Southeast are assessed similarly to students that are assessed at Northwest. So we want common assessments across the board. And a lot of this will come with the work that we're doing with that vertical and horizontal alignment and the work that we're doing with all of our curriculum work that's going on. So common assessments developed in grades pre-K to 8 with alignment to grade level standards. And we will also update the board, community, and staff on progress towards this goal annually. Because again, this is something that will take us some time. So, any questions? Thank you. I made a to-do list today.
It's great, so exciting. I love a good to-do list. That's how I roll.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Okay, I have Dr. Bannock and Haley to introduce diversity, equity, and inclusion. Oh, just Dr. Bannock, sorry, my fault.
So with diversity, equity, and inclusion, there was kind of two pieces that the group came to consensus with. And one is that we wanted to create an environment where everyone feels welcome and respected and can see themselves in the curriculum and opportunities of the district. And then also we need to prepare students for a world with increasing diversity. So kind of working with those two things. They also wanted to make clear, like when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, sometimes we jump to race, but it includes other things as well, including culture, ethnicities, abilities, and backgrounds as well too. So looking at the whole picture in terms of making sure all those people feel included, and also that people are prepared to interact and be with those, with the different people and diverse people they might encounter in the real world. So there's several different goals. So for 4A, the district shall create an equity belief statement that includes a sense of belonging and acceptance for all staff, students, and members of the community. So for the success criteria, it's putting together an equity committee that will develop this statement, and then just making sure there's cohesive practices across the district with that statement. For 4B, the district shall demonstrate cultural responsiveness when supporting families, students, and other staff. So the goal for this would be to complete ongoing cultural competence training, monitoring data for improvement, so it's not just like a one and done thing, it's actually seeing, is it actually making an impact in the district, hosting events and reviewing programs to make sure that there's a lens of equity across all of those opportunities. For 4C, the district shall view student behavior through a culturally responsive lens. So we'll review the language for discipline and make sure there's consistency in implementation, utilize restorative discipline practices, and analyze data to see how it's affecting different groups within the district, and identify professional development based on that data or trends to see how we can further improve opportunities for our students. For 4D, the district shall review and establish recruitment, hiring, and retention practices to address the culturally diverse needs of the district. So that includes developing relationships with colleges and other organizations, conducting exit interviews to see how we can best support our teachers and staff, and analyze interview processes and procedures to ensure that we're reflecting our goals in these areas. And then 4E, the district shall review materials and resources to represent and educate students about diversity and inclusive student populations. So both, like we talked about, making sure students can see themselves in the curriculum that we use, and also that we're actually actively and explicitly teaching students about equity, diversity, and inclusion through materials, through strategies and programs and different things that we do. And also coming up with programs for our students to interact with students from different backgrounds or abilities and cultures. So that is diversity, equity, and inclusion.
One of the things that Mrs. Berry had said as it pertains to the equity statement, that she felt like it would be a really good job to make sure that every student not just read it, but really understood it, so that it would start to begin to change the mindset. So I would propose, once the committee creates the statement, that maybe it's something that's said every morning over the intercom, just like the pledge.
I love it.
For when students can take turns, just like we say the pledge, that would be something that they could continuously hear as well as say.
That's a good idea.
Thank you. Okay, and our last presentation is Dr. Newman for Student Support Services.
Alright, well, student support services encompasses a broad umbrella. We have pre-K, early childhood, special education, our extended day program, and SEL. And a lot of the discussions in our committee really centered around ensuring that parents, teachers, and all stakeholders have a voice in the services that are provided to students, and that we're offering a range of resources, not only for students but also for our parents, and expanding the continuum of services that we offer across the board and communicating out to our stakeholders what those services are. And so we have three primary goal areas to address this, and the first one is the district shall promote collaborative practices across educational settings to establish special education support. And the success criteria is that the district will create and implement a joint committee comprised of all stakeholders with ongoing feedback provided to the Board of Education regarding priorities and progress. We have a lot of goals, and this committee can assist with helping us to accomplish these goals and providing feedback. And so part of the conversation was, well, what is the scope of this work? And so the second criteria is defining the role and the scope of the committee to proactively identify the priorities that we're gonna work on. And then we also had discussions about the need to provide training for our parents. And so the third criteria is providing parent workshops to increase awareness of resources, interventions, transitions, and supports. Our second goal is the district shall evaluate and identify a continuum of services that increases the continuity of programming for all students that promote inclusive practices. And so the first success criteria is that the district will align special education curriculum with the continuum of services aligned with research-based inclusive practices. That's a mouthful. But Dr. Carlson spoke to that when she addressed and talked about the curriculum. And our teachers also indicated that they really want, specifically for our self-contained classrooms, like a standalone curriculum that is specific for their students. And so this goal will address that. The second one is the district will investigate ways to minimize the transition of students between buildings. And we've already started to address that by having our self-contained classrooms relocated to 2 of our buildings for next school year. The third one is the district will conduct a staff and parent needs assessment related to programming for all students. The next one is the district will disseminate information regarding available programs and services offered within the district and the community. And we will probably do that by posting it on our website, sending that information out to our parents in a newsletter. The next one is the district will complete special education procedure manual to be distributed to staff and made available to stakeholders. We'll begin that work this summer. And the district will increase pre-K enrollment and evaluate an early intervention for students needing additional support. This has been an ongoing priority for the district or desire for the district. We keep circling back to evaluating the need to expand our programs for pre-K or partnering with community-based organizations so that parents have some pre-K options available. And then our final goal, the district shall evaluate and implement current supports to address the social, emotional, and mental well-being of our students and staff. And the first criteria is The district will align tiered interventions to the mental and emotional needs of students. The district will create common expectations for all buildings regarding the social emotional learning curriculum by the fall of 2023. The district will utilize social and emotional data in order to make effective decisions regarding student behavior interventions by fall of 2022. The district will engage in anti-bullying and trauma-informed training for all staff. And the district will engage in community-based partnerships to expand support for students and their families' mental and emotional health. I grouped all that together because we have this huge grant that we awarded, that we talked about, and all of these criteria is aligned with the objectives that are within that grant. And we will begin that work. Actually, we're starting that work tomorrow. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to say thank you for all of our presenters tonight and for really giving us a thorough review of our strategic plan. And we know that a plan is only as good as the action that comes along with it. And so we're already, as we've talked about, establishing 2 committees in the very near future, our DEI committee that will come this summer, and then our student support committee that will also come this summer as well. So we look forward to both and just hitting the ground running and making sure that we make this plan come to life. So I'd like to open up to the board members and share any comments, thoughts, feedback, and it is an action item tonight to be approved as a reminder.
Where's the document going to live?
That's a great question. It will live on our website and will be attached to our community so that they can have constant revisiting. And I do anticipate doing, it's mentioned in here that we'll do 4 quarterly updates to then determine progress along the way.
Will those quarterly updates involve report outs at our board meetings?
Yes, of course.
Excellent.
Great question.
Living document.
Living
Yeah,
great.
living, moving, acting document. I just wanna express appreciation to, it was so wonderful to hear some of the words that were offered even at this last week's meeting. Already incorporated and ready to be acted upon, and every person that was in that room and every person who responded to the surveys, and I mean, really, it is the reflection of a lot of people's hard work, so thank you very much if you were a part of that.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Karen, next is from Mr. Grossi, shifting right to finance. Can't forget about finance, right, Eric?
Absolutely not.
You won't let us, it's good.
Oh, yeah. So this last month was pretty quiet in the business office overall. Here's a statement of revenues. Revenues remain relatively flat. The prior month of March was a huge month for us. April's more quiet. Statement of expenditures also remained pretty flat. The only thing that changed, salaries and benefits were the biggest expenditures in the last month as well. And then the fund balance, you might notice this month, operations and maintenance is a lot higher than it has been in the past. That's due to the transfer from last month. So it went over from debt service to operations maintenance. And then there's a resolution in the agenda for later regarding the South Suburban School Purchasing Cooperative. What that is we were approved by their purchasing cooperative to be a part of it, and we just have to approve it, and it's with Staples, it's a partnership with Staples, so we get like a discount on paper when we both purchase paper. And then they get other ones as well, but that's what we have for now. And then we had a Freedom of Information request from a Miss Tanaya Campbell of databid.com, and that has been completed.
Any questions for Eric?
Was the operations and maintenance transfer just for the planned work that we will be doing over the summer?
Great question. Can't wait. I know the teachers are busy moving. They're packing and moving, right? Moving out of their classrooms. We're getting ready for all the construction.
Which is
something to say, 14 weeks till back to school, so that
Yeah,
that discount on paper, like,
Uh-huh.
just 5 buildings and admin, like, yeah, okay, I love it. Thanks for finding that and working on that, that's, whatever we can do to save is good. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Great, so next we have back to curriculum and instruction.
I'll let Mr. Swilly
Okay,
start.
oh, okay,
Yes.
yes.
No, you seem to be looking somewhere else. I heard my name in the other direction, so. Good evening, hello everyone.
Hello.
So I'm starting off with the update on graduation. So just to kind of give you a quick overview, the program is printed and ready to roll. It was approved through Ms. Klimzak and Dr. Woodland shortly, pretty recently. Scripted agenda has been sent to Dr. Woodland as well as Ms. Klimzak in reference to what it is that we expect for the program to go. The process for there, the names have been checked and rechecked more than once. Teachers have been secured to read names of students as well as operate in terms of the behind the scenes and getting things passed out to students and helping students get lined up on that day. Graduation practice has been scheduled. We are planning to walk over and practice, I think Tuesday, Tuesday, I think the 24th, and we have permission slips out, expecting all of those to come back. We're hoping it doesn't rain on that day or graduation day. We need the rain to stay away. We've had conversations with parents via email about tickets and what to expect with tickets and how those will be distributed and what to expect in reference to that night in terms of ensuring that they have tickets when they show up. Parents have been reminded about that number, and tickets go home on Monday, and I think we have a pretty efficient practice schedule set up for when we go over to practice. I'd like to get in and at least run through it at least twice to be sure that students are aware. Send some information to parents. Some information will go out to parents about graduation practice in particular. For some of the small things like young ladies, if they're planning to wear high heels, I would ask that they bring them on that day so they can practice walking across the stage and up the stairs and things like that with them. Just some information. Yeah, you learn from experience. So that's some of the things that they'll be getting in the coming days to be sure that they're ready. So it looks like we're ready to roll.
So, I liked the communication that came out, it was very thorough. However, it is discouraging to hear 3 tickets for a lot of families that are larger, so I would encourage you, if there is gonna be a large stream in your next communication, to make them aware that it is going to be visible electronically.
So in the
Right.
in the communication prior to today, we did mention live streaming. Today I purposely didn't mention it because I did not have the link and I wasn't sure of exactly how that would look. So I felt like it was a little bit safer to not mention it just yet if I wasn't sure of exactly what that would look like. But
Who's doing it? Who's recording it? Technology department?
Yes, it is not Shannon.
It's not Shannon.
So yes, probably the technology department will be doing it, but I wasn't able to secure that today. So that
Sure.
will go out to them.
And then is it going to be live streamed from YouTube? Is it gonna be live streamed from Facebook?
Normally we use YouTube.
You're gonna use YouTube. Yeah, so then it'll be scheduled as a premiere then?
I have no clue, to be honest.
I'm sorry, I'm asking you guys questions that you can't answer. So, yeah, all right, so in your next communication,
They will have that.
so the parents can be, calm down. You're still gonna have an opportunity to participate in the commencement. If you're not physically in the room, you can still be a part of it.
Exactly.
And that should calm a little bit of a "but please," because I'm sure you got some of those.
Just a few.
So, all right.
Any other questions about graduation? Concerns?
Do you remember the time of the graduation practice?
Graduation practice is going to be immediately after lunch. So we'll walk over at about.
And they're released from there, you said?
They're released from graduation
I didn't mean to
practice.
interrupt, I'm sorry.
Say again.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, I was
You're fine.
processing out loud, I apologize. So after?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. Master schedule. So the master schedule has been a topic of a lot of conversation at Central Middle School. Started off with a grand hope of making sure our master schedule would be ready to discuss more so in December than any other time. Ran into several roadblocks. One of them for me was figuring out exactly how to make contract language match with what we would put in a master schedule. And so we took some steps back and did several different variations of a master schedule. We did several different block scheduling concepts, which we really wanted. We had conversations with staff very early on about what it is that we would want in a master schedule. And those things were things that you always hear about a master schedule. You want more instructional time. You want to see more equitability in schedules. So there were several issues that the staff expressed that they wanted to see a little bit differently in the schedule, passing periods being a little bit longer. What we did is this year, which relates to the master schedule, is we created an opportunity for our building leadership teams that any staff member is welcome to come to our building leadership team meetings. So every time that we were talking about master schedule, it wasn't just a select group of people. Anyone in our building that was willing to be present was welcome to be present. So that's something, and I say that because we did have several conversations both in the staff meetings as well as in the building leadership meetings. But the most important building leadership meeting that we had is one where we had presented a few different options to the staff, and we actually had the staff come in and we decided to just work out what we think it could look like on our own on that day. One of the things that we noticed is as we were working through it, it's a difficult process. Some of the staff members became more aware of exactly all of the components that go into trying to create a master schedule and some of the things that might get in the way of what we were trying to do. One staff member said, "Did you do this on purpose so we can see what it feels like to do your job?" I'm like, "No, that is not why I did it. I did it so that we can have some ownership and some agency about what the master schedule would look like." So after that meeting, we spent a great deal of time, Ms. Dagley and I, kind of crafting something that we felt like might fit with all of the constraints that we had and all of the desires that we had. And here's what we came up with. Essentially, we came up with the most important concept of master schedule is what we call a school within a school. And that will create two very different bell schedules. One bell schedule for 6th grade students and another for our 7th and 8th grade students. Meaning that when the bell rings, you will always be, if you're a 6th grader, you will always be in the hallway with only other 6th graders. And when the bell rings for the 7th and 8th graders, you will always be in the hallway with only 7th and 8th graders. There will be two different sounds, a 6th grade sound and a 7th grade sound. What that does is it automatically eliminates, or should I say, makes smaller the number of students that are transitioning. It makes it easier for supervision, and it makes it a lot less congested. And we've had conversations about some of the congestion in our hallways. So that is one of the first things that we were wanting to do, was to somehow find a way to isolate our 6th graders. Ideally, it would be great if we could find an entire space in the building where it was only 6th graders, and then they were kind of on their own. But our building isn't structured that way. But that was our best next move. The other is we wanted to increase instructional time. So we did increase instructional time, but in order to do the increase of instructional time, and keep the schedules a little bit different, our 6th graders will have a little bit less. Their class periods will be 51 minutes, whereas 7th and 8th grade class periods will be 55 minutes. And the reason for that is because 6th graders will keep advisory. We felt like that was very necessary for 6th graders to be able to have the opportunity to come and get settled and have someone who's going to be nurturing and take care of their new arrivals, our babies in the building, so that they could feel a little more comfortable and do some housekeeping. Whereas 7th and 8th graders who've been in the building for a while will not need as much time. So that time, along with our study hall time, was moved into classroom time. Another concept of our schedule is now we have longer passing periods. One of our biggest concerns is the structure of our building doesn't truly allow for a student to get to and from classes in the 2 minutes that our current schedule offers. So we stretched that out to 4 minutes. What that also means is the implementation of a Tardy policy that will allow students to be held accountable for for getting to class on time while also giving them the opportunity to get to class on time, as opposed to not giving them the opportunity and then holding them accountable for it. We also have plan times and team times will be scheduled kind of back to back. And the idea for that is kind of to help with the process of professional development, as you'll hear that Dr. Carlson has, all these things planned for professional development for teachers, and so that will be a great process. We also did something with our specials, a little bit different. Specials teachers are going to now only teach designated grade levels, excuse me. And what that means is that rather than, right now, the way it works is specials teachers can see 6th, 7th, 8th grade students throughout a day. We shifted so that a specials teacher in particular, for example, our Spanish teacher, would see only 7th and 8th graders. So that class is only offered to 7th and 8th graders, and that creates the opportunity to have the school within a school. And it also creates an opportunity not to cycle through unknowingly, because some kids have cycled through and have already taken something when they were in the 7th grade, and it looks different. So the idea was to create that school within a school, but also make sure that our 7th grade teachers are dedicated, our specials teachers are dedicated to specific grade levels. And it also helps to streamline the master schedule. In doing so, we eliminated one of the electives. So students always had 2 electives, at least in the past I understand they've been 2 electives. We moved back to 1 elective. That was also desired for the purpose of creating more instructional time. We're doing about 88 minutes where kids are getting elective classes, and then just 44 minutes for something like ELA or math. And so we wanted to shift that. In order to ensure that our band students, excuse me, our band students and our I'm okay with our band students, but thank you. Our band students and our, what word am I looking for? Band and, not choir. Thank you. Band students and Spanish, those students that take Spanish year round, in order to ensure that they're able to do both. What we didn't want is to say that because you want to take Spanish year round, you can no longer take band. We created a 0-hour PE, and we have teachers who have been devoted to doing that. We will make that class open to a smaller number of students, but it will be students who are particularly wanting to do band and that year-long Spanish class in 8th grade, but it will be only 7th and 8th grade students, and that will free up the number of students that are in our PE classes throughout the day. So those students will get an opportunity to fulfill all of the expectations on either side. So, and lastly, am I mentioning PE and spec ed or? Yes, okay. So in order to do all of this, what we would need is another PE teacher. So humbly, I request a PE teacher for Central Middle School so that this schedule can be effective and implemented. And I believe we're already up and running with our special education concept because of how that would work. So yeah, those are the new components of a master schedule, and our staff was very, very heavily involved in making a decision as to whether or not they wanted to move with this schedule. We had 2 surveys, and even after the first survey it was clear what the choice was, but we still had a staff meeting where I laid out one more time all of the differences between the 2 schedule, letting them know that I don't want you to choose for me, I want you to choose for what's best for you and kids. But this is what our staff chose. I think it was 79% to 21% or 20% or something like that. So, yeah.
Were the students involved at all? Was there any voice in there?
You know what? In this process, we did not ask our students a whole lot.
I just wonder how they felt about losing an elective.
Yeah, so
Speak to, because they get 1 elective a day, that's what you were saying, but how many do they get throughout the course of a year?
2. So throughout the course of a year, they would do 2. So what that means is you can have, I'll go back to Spanish and I don't know for exactly, but let's say Spanish and art. You have the opportunity to do, out of all of the electives, to do 2 within an actual school year. Does that make sense? It would be a semester length class.
Sure.
Yes. Right. And here's the idea. One of the things that I discussed a lot, which is evidence that I didn't always get what I wanted. But one of the things that I discussed a lot was the idea of depth, even in our electives, in the sense that if we could move to having year-long electives, what that would do for Spanish, what that would do for art, in terms of really going deeper into learning those things. Whereas in 6th grade, you can do an exploratory, you learn about all of the different electives and then choose and kind of track that throughout 7th and 8th grade. I think that would be an awesome concept. It was one that was discussed, but it was not selected as how we would move forward. But again, that's just an idea that I think would be great. But no, unfortunately, we did not do a good job. I did not do a good job of including our students and asking.
I like the way you're laying on the sword.
Because it's mine to lay on. The truth is that it is me.
Okay.
So no Spanish for the 6th graders? What?
No. So 6th graders will not be in Spanish classes at all for their 6th grade year, but they will have an opportunity to pursue Spanish in 7th and 8th grade.
And you have an opportunity now, this,
In 5th grade?
6th grade this year?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so it gotta be taken away.
When you mean taken away.
I mean, kind of removed,
Yeah.
eliminated for the 6th grade.
So what electives will 6th graders be offered?
I can tell you that if I were to pull up my computer in 2 seconds, I could do that. You want me to do that?
No, we can get back to you on that.
Yeah, you can email
no
us.
worries. Yes, no problem.
Is there, are you gonna have like a grand Spanish schedule where we can see like visually?
Yes, we can send that to you, absolutely.
So what
And I hope you can understand it.
Colorized, don't say colorized.
Yes, it's very colorized.
It is.
Yes, I think today was really the concept of really talking about themes between the schedule, what we found, and really just understanding the teacher voice in the decision-making process, because Shannon and I had really deep level conversations in that the teachers have to be the ones to enact the schedule. They're the ones who have to live it and breathe it with our kids each and every day, and a lot of their feedback came from them. But yes, it's, I think, a 3-page spreadsheet we can send
And
to you.
I'll send it to her. And essentially what that looks like is, in order for me to understand what it is that we would be doing and that it could actually work, what that spreadsheet entails is it is literally a schedule for every single adult in the building. And that you'll be able to see that this is all what 6th grade teachers would do, 7th grade teachers, 8th grade teachers, specials teachers, PE teachers, band teachers. It's all laid out for you to see what their schedule looks like in that time frame.
One last question.
Yes, ma'am.
They're gonna have longer passing periods, say from 2 minutes to 4 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Which should be a good amount of time for them to get to class. And so we're gonna implement a tardy policy. What is that policy gonna look like?
So the Tardy policy will essentially be something that includes both administration and teachers. So when you talk about a tardy policy, now again, generally, tardy policies are things that are implemented by the administration, which means someone new coming in may be able to make this look different. And if they want to do that, they can. But essentially what I'm proposing is that kids that are late to school are the responsibility of the administration. Kids that are late to class are the responsibility of the teacher. So we have a policy that says when a student is late, this is what the teacher will do. These are the steps that the teacher will take for tardy number 1, tardy number 2, all the way through. These are the steps that administration will take. And so it kind of lays out what that sounds like, what that looks like, and what various staff members' responsibilities would be in the event that students are tardy or have issues with being tardy.
Is that gonna be reported to the parent?
The tardy policy?
I'm saying like if that student is
Of
tardy
course,
for,
yeah,
I'm just asking.
yeah, no, that's a great question,
Parent
yes,
is
just like any other referral, yes.
Parent is a big part of that process, yes.
Cause I know it's new, right?
Yes.
It'll be something new next year. That's the only reason I'm asking.
Yeah, it's a great question.
I love the idea of the 0 hour for PE. I know a lot of our local high schools have 0 hour opportunities for 7th and 8th graders and then into high school as well. And if the kids really wanna do band and Spanish and make that happen, so maybe that softens the blow of the elective choice or not. But like I said, there's so many schools that are already doing that. And it gives the kids the choice to be involved in those things that they want to be involved in. So I think that's a very creative solution. So thanks for thinking thinking of it. These early morning drop-offs, like, okay, dedication.
My own children were involved, well, some of them were involved in 0-hour classes.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them were not, which I let them choose, thankfully, and they chose well. Because some of them were not morning people.
Not morning people, there you
And
go.
Central currently has a 0-hour for algebra, so that is
Oh, definitely,
functioning.
yeah.
So those algebra kids, they're gonna have to choose between band and Spanish.
Possibly.
Let's look at the schedule.
And then, can you just briefly speak to minutes, what the minutes of instructional time will look like for sixth grade and then seventh and eighth?
I did earlier, 51 for class periods. Yes, 51 minutes for 6th grade and 55 for 7th grade.
And that's to increase advisory for sixth grade.
That's because 6th graders will have an advisory.
Yeah,
Want
he
them
did
to
tell
have,
us that.
yes, okay,
Yeah.
perfect, thank you.
So our 6th grade teachers were they're nurturers.
Yeah, we want them to have a home base when they come to Central, that's super important.
Yeah, I'm glad to get this taken care of. I have my daughter going into
Rachel is super thrilled.
I've been like worried about this whole time, and so, all right, we're ready.
We've been wrestling with this for quite some time, trying to get it right, and I'm happy to.
I think Shannon, Phil, Ashley, we all have like 18 different drafts of master schedules, and this is finally the one that
I want
is
to
the
know the
right
test.
step.
Like, how are you gonna is it gonna be a test run?
Oh, that's a great question, yes. There is gonna be a test run.
Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes.
So-
He just asked me today, I said, yes, do this.
So I just didn't know what you wanted me to speak about.
Yes, of
We have
course.
Fast Forward Day coming up on the 27th.
Yeah, it's next Friday.
Next Friday. And what that is we're going to welcome our 5th grade students to Central. And this is the day after graduation. Our current 6th grade students will fast forward to 7th grade. Our current 7th grade students will fast forward to 8th grade. It's a half day, so that schedule on that half day is going to be different in the sense that the rotation of classes, how students will move, they will be on 2 different schedules on that day.
That's good.
And so we have a lot of detail that we shared out with staff today about what the expectations are and how the rotations will look, and we kind of tried to go as deep as we could into the logistics of everything so that there would be fewer questions. Daniel has been working very hard on communicating with the elementary buildings about what it is that they could expect. Part of that process is that we're going to ask 5th grade teachers to be present at Central that day because we wanted 5th grade students to have an adult that they know and recognize to be with them during that day. So the 5th grade teachers will pair up with 6th grade teachers as they rotate throughout their day. The 5th grade teachers will arrive and receive, if you will, their students on the blacktop with nice big names so they can see. If I'm a 5th grade teacher, Swilly in big letters, you can come find me. We'll line up on our numbers, and the 6th grade teachers will meet them there and bring them in and work that process. And we're going to also dismiss on that day, we're going to dismiss our current 6th grade and current 7th graders early, 15 minutes early. So because we know that our 5th grade parents are going to be picking up at that time, and we want to alleviate some of the stress and the chaos of that. So we're going to try to get those 6th and 7th graders out of there and then do the exact same thing that we did for arrival at dismissal so that parents can come in and grab their babies and know that they had a great day. And also on that day, I think that Daniel Richmond has donated to a PBIS raffle. And in his words, can I say it in your words? Sure. Daniel, for whatever reason, said that he was going to donate, and he said over the loudspeaker, a color TV. And I'm like, a color TV? What's a color TV? These kids know the difference between a color TV. But he is donating. But it is a very, very cool thing. I'm very proud of that. And so he's donating that, and a kid, brand new, a kid can win that on the 27th one day. So we'll see who wins that. A kid will walk away with a new TV.
Pretty nice.
If they need a ride home, I'll take them.
Great. I like the idea that the current 6th and 7th also get a taste of the new schedule before the year ends. I think that's really a great thing, that the fast forward is for everybody, because it is gonna be an adjustment for everybody. So they'll get to see behind the curtain and go, oh, we got this. We, we can do this. And maybe this is cool and we can try new things. So the fact that it's everybody doing different, that's just awesome. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Okay. Wow.
Mine is way less complicated than all that. He's got a lot going on. So the first thing I wanted to talk to y'all about tonight is the Consolidated District Plan. I've been working on that with the help of Dr. Newman and Eric kind of pitched in a little bit. The Consolidated Plan, the Consolidated District Plan really streamlines the grant writing process. So you have all of these federal grants. I listed them up there, Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV. The IDEA grants, the ESSER grants, all of these grants you write, and when you do them, they have different pieces that go into them, be it a needs assessment and your goals and consultation with stakeholders and all of those different things. So what the Consolidated District Plan does is it kind of puts all of those into one plan so that when you go and do each of these plans individually, you've kind of already covered those bases. So this is something that we update annually, and it's board approved, and then that has to be done prior to us being able to do all of next year's federal grants. So you had a copy of that. You notice some of the things stayed consistent, some of the things we updated with the work that we've done this year. So that was in your board packet. So that was the first thing that I had. And the next, decommissioning outdated materials. As you know, some of our buildings are packing up everything. Teachers by nature are kind of hoarders a little bit, because you never know when you're gonna need to pull out a resource that we had, 12 years ago. But as they're packing up and actually having to physically move out of their rooms, they're realizing that they maybe don't quite need some of the things that they have. So we've started with Southeast, and they have lots of stuff right outside of Haley's office that she's anxious for us to dispose of. So that list was also in your board packet. While a lot of it I'm not familiar with, Debbie is familiar with all of it and knows when it's all from. And a lot of it was very old. So that list is in there of items that we can get rid of with.
Is there anything salvageable that can be donated?
Mm-hmm.
There are some pretty dated books, maybe some leveled readers that we could maybe pull out and even have kids take, with them. I would love to put them, in the hands of our kids. So maybe if we pulled out some of those leveled readers, we could let them choose some, on the last day or something like that. So we'll go through it, and anything that you do give permission for us to get rid of, we could do that. Okay. Anything else? All right. This wasn't on my list, but I'm dropping it here. Angela was nice enough to put together a few slides for the Evergreen reads, and your book is there. It is the 14th Goldfish. So she did say that each year they try to kind of make it fun, the reveal. So they put out some clues to the different buildings, and the teachers put their guesses on Twitter. And the class then that shared the first correct answer got a free book, and so that was a Southwest. Can we go to the next slide? Yes, Ms. Scrivener's class, Ms. Scrivener's 5th grade class was the first one to guess the correct title, so they all got free books, which is great. And she's got some different activities planned and some suggestions for teachers for different activities that they can do. I know that she's sharing information on the Evergreens Reads Facebook page and putting things out on Twitter as well to hopefully get more people involved. So there are copies of the books in all of the buildings for parents to be able to pick up, and she's also leaving them in some of the little free libraries around the community too.
I saw the posts. That was brilliant.
Yes. So we'll continue to do, and she's going to continue to do giveaways as well. So she's done a great job with that. And the last thing I have. So we have been working super hard with our math committee, and I'm excited that that work is really kind of coming to a conclusion, and our next steps are really beginning to reveal themselves. So a little bit of background. So currently, the district uses three different math programs. So we have Go Math in grades K2, Eureka Math in grades 3 to 5, and then a Glencoe Math at Central Middle School. And really throughout this year, I've heard the struggles of having these three programs, particularly with teachers who are trying to kind of, when you have a third grader coming from a Go Math program into the Eureka Math program, the verbiage is different, the content is presented in a little bit of a different way, so having to kind of get the kids caught up and fill in those gaps. Even at the strategic planning meetings, heard from parents the frustrations with sixth graders moving in at Central Middle School, and then having gotten used to the Eureka program and then transitioning into Glencoe Math, there was definite frustration there. So it was heard loud and clear the desire for consistency across the grade levels. So we brought together the math team that did the work as for priority standards. Should we go to the next slide for me? Thanks. Brought together the math team. They began working in January. They worked on those priority standards, vertically and horizontally aligning those across the grade levels, and then also vertically K to 8. We looked at what we have currently. So we looked at the three programs that we currently have, really with the desire to this time around go with something that we're currently using. We know the scope of the work that we have to do. The teachers really are wanting to get to ELA and wanting to kind of shore up some of what we're doing there. So looking at the three that we have and really trying to go forward with choose one of those. So we looked at different research. We had content specialists that we met with via Zoom, and we looked at Ed Reports, which is a non-biased group that really looks at different curriculum programs. They view and review science, math, ELA programs, and they have this enormous consortium that really rates them on rigor, usage, how they are aligned to standards. And when we looked at all those, the Eureka Math was really the only one that met all of the areas. So unanimously amongst our group, after many meetings, and we really tried to make sure that that group was communicating back with the buildings. We had representatives from every grade level, from every building, but we also wanted to make sure that they went back to the buildings, communicated with their team. This is where we are with the committee. What are you thinking of our work? What is your feedback? We did a lot of Google Forms so that they could share that work as well. And they unanimously did decide to go with the Eureka Squared. Eureka Squared, not Eureka. So Eureka Squared is their updated version. Eureka's been around for quite some time. They've taken the feedback. They're using current research. In the past 10 years, things have been updated. So they're using current research, the feedback that they've gotten. The Eureka Squared really speaks more to accessibility. So some of that work that we've talked about with our special education students, making sure that the content that we have is accessible to everyone. It speaks to pacing, which was one of the concerns with the original math, the original Eureka Math. It was really hard to teach at a middle school level because of the amount of time that lessons would take. So it speaks to the pacing. They've also made some improvements to their assessments. So the Eureka Squared is what is being recommended by us as a math committee. We're really hoping to roll it out K-6 next year. The reason being to stop at K-6 is the frustration from parents was real with that transition. And to tell a parent, you had the Eureka, now you've had a year with Glencoe, and guess what? They're going back to Eureka next year. We didn't want to have to do that to students, to create more confusion. We didn't want to have to do that to families. So going with the Eureka K-6, those students will have had it in 5th grade. They will just transition into 6th grade. Our 7th grade teachers are excited to get started, so they might start working in some lessons with their students next year as they see fit, and then they will transition those 6th grade students the following year and then roll into 8th grade. So kind of a slow rollout at CMS, but the rest of our group will get started. It's been super exciting to see our teachers in grades 3 through 5 who really sold this program to the rest of the committee. I didn't have to do that. They expressed that, you know, when they started it, it was a challenge and it was hard and it was different. But that they've seen what it's done for their students and they have gotten used to it and they recognize that it does represent best practice and they really were able to encourage those that were using the Go Math in grades K to 2. Our kindergarten and second grade teachers recognized that the Go Math wasn't speaking to the rigor that they knew that their students were needing as they were going into third grade, and so they recognized that themselves. So it was a great process. So, any questions?
So thrilled to be adopting a new math curriculum. I think it's fabulous. I think it speaks to what our kids need and what our parents asked for. So.
Yep, I agree. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Oh, summer school.
Good evening. So just a quick update on summer school and extended school year. Next slide. This is the review from last month, but the program is June 13th to July 13th. We are going to have it Monday through Friday this year. All programming will be at Northwest. You'll find out in a minute that it's gonna be pretty tight, but we think we can fit. And it's from 8:30 to 11:30 for students and then 8:15 to 11:45 for staff. So we invited 346 students were invited. That was really based on teacher recommendation through a variety of criteria. 209 as of today have confirmed for summer school or extended school year. And we're still we're still doing kindergarten screeners right now, so the invitations for Jump Start into kindergarten haven't been totally completed. We're inviting people as we receive those recommendations, so that number will definitely go up prior to the start of summer school at ESY.
What was the start and times again?
8:30 to 11:30 for students, and then 8:15 to 11:45 for staff. So the next slide shows just kind of our projected classes, which you'll see the number of students that right now are projected for each class. So that's a total of around, with the Jumpstart, it's gonna be either 22 to 23 classes. So that's where it's, Dr. Bannock has helped me and Dr. Carlson kind of look at the classes we're recommending and help us with spacing at Northwest. And so we're still kind of confirming those spaces, but hopeful that we can make it work. So in terms of staffing, all of the District 124 staff that were interested in working summer school ESY were offered a position in some capacity.
Right.
So that was 22 teachers, 12 paraprofessionals, one person that's gonna serve as a nurse/secretary, a social worker, and a speech pathologist. In addition, we're looking to still hire 4 teachers for our special ed teachers, and actually Phil has reached out to some of our new hires that have filled some of these positions since this was created. So we were able to confirm a social worker and a couple of the paraprofessionals. So we're still just, these positions have now been posted for the outside as well. So we're still just looking to finalize the staffing and then the Jumpstart into kindergarten numbers. So then the training day for staff will be on Thursday, June 9th. There'll be a full day training for them to for me to really go over the program with them, but also to really look at the students that are enrolled and the needs of the students and do planning for the summer.
So,
Yeah.
are we still offering enrichment classes in addition to the summer school?
We aren't this summer. I think it was our first time, or my first time, and I think with Dr. Carlson as well, of just kind of capturing what we've done in the past. So this summer, we're sticking to the recommendations and really centered around reading and math and learning loss over the summer. But I do think that's definitely the hope for the future in terms of being able to add some enrichment classes into the summer.
Yeah, it was really popular and, we were kind of competing a little bit with the community centers summer programs, but theirs is all day.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of cool for the kids to still be able to get out and take like art or Spanish or something like that, just a little intro, especially since we're going down at the middle school.
Well, I think it's definitely our hope for the future. I think and also the challenge of we are in one building this year, so as you saw, just fitting
the necessity of what we need to do is already gonna be super tight for this
Yeah,
summer.
that's true, cause I think in the past, it was like Southeast had summer school and then maybe Northeast was doing enrichment, or was the enrichment in all the buildings?
Well, last year, it was after summer school,
Oh, I see, okay,
the enrichment class.
okay. Yeah, I'm sure
It definitely is a hope, we've talked about that.
Yeah, for sure, I'm sure parents will want enrichment classes back for summer.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Right, Dr. Newman?
Dr. Woodline asked me to provide our projections for next year for paraprofessionals. So in determining the projections, I look at several factors, and it's like a puzzle. So we look at students that are transitioning from early intervention to early childhood, identifying students that really need some intensive support. We also look at our current students to see what their needs are in our programs. I also look at students that are transitioning between buildings and moving from 5th grade to 6th grade, and our students that are graduating. And then we had the addition of the 2 classrooms. So we put it on a spreadsheet and we shift all these positions and we do the drum roll, and at the end, we're making a recommendation of 42 positions for next school year. And then
42
42.
New Paris?
No,
total.
Oh.
Total.
Oh, you gotta clarify.
Dr. Willie could explain the rest.
And I can speak to, so you'll notice on the agenda tonight that there's an action item to approve a resolution to honorably dismiss temporary paraprofessionals. Our current count is actually 37, and we have 5 temporary paraprofessionals, and sometimes you just get lucky with numbers, and this time we just happened to get very lucky with numbers. So we hired in temporary paraprofessionals starting in January, not knowing whether or not we would need them for student need for the upcoming school year. However, based on our projections that Dr. Newman just stated, we've determined that we do need them to fill the slots for next school year. As a result, we're gonna hire them in tonight into that permanent position to give us a total number of 42. So you're really only hiring in these 5 paraprofessionals total that are already actually currently on staff. Mr. Abraham then also reached out to them to confirm that they're still interested in taking on that position for next fall, and they are interested in proceeding.
Okay.
So we got very lucky in that they've already are in our buildings, they know kids, they know our building systems, and it just worked out perfectly. So I'm really happy about that.
That's nice math. 42 for 42.
Yes.
That's great, thank you.
And resignations and shifting
Of course.
made it perfect, so. I definitely think we're excited to offer our new PALS program as well. So it's definitely a need, and I'm excited to see that transition and Aspire at Northeast next year as well. So it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next on our agenda is public comments. And we do have one green card. I'm just gonna read what I always read, and then we'll invite Mrs. Washington up. A few reminders specifically about the logistics for public comment portion of every meeting, including this evening. As is posted on our agenda publicly for every meeting, to respect all of our stakeholders, our commenters, our board, and our public, we adhere very closely to the 3-minute limit for comments for everyone. We will set a timer, and we expect everyone to respect their 3 minutes. And in addition, we do not respond to public comments at meetings. However, we do hear them. And we absolutely respect and we listen to and we take into account everything that our community members have to say. And if there's anything specific that you ask that we aren't able to answer right now, we will certainly refer it to the person that can answer the question, and we'll make sure to follow up on that soon. So, do we have any other greens in addition? So Mrs. Washington, please. Thank you. It's nice to see you.
See you all. Some I know, some I don't. So thank you for allowing me to address you today. My name is Preetay Washington. I moved to Evergreen Park in 2014. Both of my children attended Southwest Elementary School. One is now enrolled at Central Middle School and the other attends Evergreen Park Community High School. Before moving to Evergreen Park, my family lived on the southeast side of Chicago in our multi-generational family home. The decline of our neighborhood was heartbreaking to witness and forced us to move. We didn't know anything about Evergreen Park, but feel fortunate to have landed in such a wonderful community. Professionally, I spent over a decade in the private sector as a business analyst and human resource generalist. I later transitioned to nonprofit and for 15 years worked as an administrator for Head Start, a federally funded early childhood program. In 2016, I assumed a position with a global nonprofit working with states, territories, and tribes on issues related to child care funding and substance misuse prevention. My work includes planning, systems development, workforce, and equity at the community, state, and federal levels. It is from this vantage point that I say thank you for allowing me to be a part of the district's strategic planning process. It was a wonderful exercise and encouraging first step. But as a district and community, we know we cannot stop with the plan that is being presented to you. We cannot afford ourselves the luxury of patting ourselves on the back for a job well done, although it really was good. Create an attractive binder containing the plan, check off the task of completing it, and file it on a shelf. The children and families that you pledge to serve deserve more. So as we proceed together with operationalizing the plan, it's important to remember and accept that our community has changed. This is not the Evergreen Park of 20 years ago, and that is not a bad thing. We still have the same sense of community and commitment to our families and neighbors. And while we have always sought to raise our children to be productive members of society, now more than ever before, we are also raising global citizens. We are nurturing young people who have access to endless streams of data at their fingertips. We are competing with swipes, likes, and views. And while we remain a prevailing influence in their lives, we are competing with ideas, information, and images that can make us uncomfortable at best. So we cannot operate the way we always have because their world and ours is not what it has always been. This does not mean that we abandon our values and beliefs. There's a wonderfully insightful book, The Sum of Us by Heather McGee. In it, she discusses the concept of zero sum, that one's gain is another's loss. To give to one requires taking from another. I think we may hold this belief in part, and it's hurting us. To embrace new practices, methods, and beliefs does not diminish the traditions of our community. To share power does not equal loss of power. There is room for all. And by making room, Please finish. Okay. And by making room, it strengthens and benefits us all and better equips our children for when they leave the borders of Evergreen Park. It does mean, however, that we revisit how we educate and engage, and I acknowledge that that can be uncomfortable. It means confronting long-held ideas about pedagogy and culture. It means learning and embracing new technologies and exploring how to use them to make subject matter engaging and meaningful to students. It means employing restorative practice and power sharing with students, which can result in self-reflection in ways that we often may not want to do. But to not do these things is a disservice to our children, our community, and ourselves. And so as a member of your planning committee, a parent, a community member, an unyielding advocate for children and families, and a constituent, I charge you and all of us to challenge yourself as a board and community, and we'll lead by example. We'll listen, be reflective, be transparent, embrace new ideas, share power with staff and students, establish a foundation of equity and trust with zero tolerance for bigotry or an indifference. We will together create a growth mindset culture and move our district to a place that honors the inherent value of every member. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for your participation with our strategic plan as well.
I just have to, I'm like gonna cry. I think that your voice in the strategic planning process was so valuable. And I've had multiple conversations after the fact, and I hope that, you continue to influence me to be a better leader, because you already have. And I appreciate all of your feedback, because we learn by learning from each other. And I just want to say thank you.
It was nice to hear the reflection of something you said even just last week in our reports today, so that's great. So, moving on to board reports, with the Arrow Governing Board.
There's no update this month, just the construction continues.
I meant to get by the new construction site since spring break, over spring break, and then it was consumed with college planning. Still on my list. I can't wait to see it, so. And we also struck B for the board committee assignments. So that goes on to our board donation for Evergreen Reads. I know, got our books, right? So we do have an agenda item or an action item a little later to approve our education donation to Evergreen Reads, not to exceed $2,450 for the purchase of the books. So is there any discussion that we would like to have about that, or are we pretty okay with our donation? Okay. And has anybody read? I'm looking very forward to reading the book.
I have not read this.
Okay, I have not read this book either, so I took Charlotte's Web on vacation with me. It was the only beach read. I was the only person reading Charlotte Web on the beach, but that's okay. Like I said, we'll revisit that with our action item on the last page of J. District review team meeting report. That was we did have a district review team meeting on April 28th. Pardon me?
Have you scratched that?
No, we did the board, we scratched the item B, the board committee assignments.
Because we have to update it.
Because we didn't, we don't update it this year. So for our April 28th meeting, there were 6 issues that were brought up at our April 28th meeting. The first item was a question regarding case managers for students with 504s. The conversation was around, it used to be with nurses and psychologists the responsibility, and it had shifted to teachers. And so through the course of that meeting, through the work that they did, management will return to nurses and psychologists to manage those 504s. Item number 2 was around the IAR testing window for next year, and those dates are set for spring of 2023. We thought back to school was crazy to think about. I just said spring of 2023, not even, whew. So items number 3 and 4 were about students receiving interventions and the special education process and services, which we've heard about through strategic plan this evening and things like that. Both are similar concerns echoed in the conversations around strategic planning and will be explored more in just a month when we convene the committee that was outlined in the strategic plan. Item number 5 concerns student discipline, which is being and will be addressed with the update of the student handbook. And also this summer, it's going to be a very busy summer. Anybody who thinks that summer is quiet time in a district is misinformed. And then item number 6 was regarding classroom spacing and arrangement. And so that was just the, hoping to get back to our usual, I guess. So classroom spacing and arrangement will be discussed in August 2022 when we head back to school. So our next scheduled meeting is supposed to be this Monday, the 23rd. I have not received, so I have not received the agenda for that one. Typically that's canceled because it's, 3 weeks before the end of the, So that is often the case this late in the school year, and so we will hear from district review team again in September. August, September, yeah, absolutely. For that. Next is the Judy Mulchron Scholarship. You have at your seat
the 2 applications for our nominated students, both nominated by their teachers. So we mentioned the Mulchron scholarship at the last meeting, and we opened it up. It is for students who are leaders in school and also interested in athletics. And we usually have a chance to look at these. So if you didn't get a chance, I sent them out via email, but I know it was late in the game. So if you want to take a peek at these real quick, and then we can discuss how we might want to proceed, if we would like to allocate some funds. I would hope so. So if you just need a chance to read, please do. Is there any discussion?
No, the applications look great.
They do.
Only 2.
I know. I don't understand that. I'm glad that we got to, so I'm gonna stick with that.
Oh, when I saw that, I was like, oh.
I know. So, we actually have up to $1,000 to allocate, and we have 2 students.
Yeah.
We don't have specifics from them, probably because they didn't know just yet what they were gonna be interested in, what camps and things like that would be available, and if they got this or not. So
I would encourage them to submit what it is, and then we can just pay that up to the amount.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's on here. I don't
Are we
think we should just
comfortable?
No, it says
allocate
up
the
to-
full
Oh, no.
amount.
No, it says up to
No.
500, yeah.
We used to, in years past, we would reimburse families for activities that they did in like June and July. But if parents want to know if they have this funding coming and that helps shape their decision-making, like as somebody who, this is our first year without a camp. This is big news. First year without a camp. Except he'll go to band camp at college in fall. And so, oh my gosh, but that's a whole different story. So as a parent who usually is doing these things, it's nice to know that you have that money coming. So that's why I had advocated for having it a little earlier. So we're comfortable with that, and I like that idea too, have them submit them to us. So this is my first time as president. I don't know if I'm the person who reaches out. Okay, Kim is not here to ask, so I will reach out to the families, or maybe perhaps the teachers, since that's the information that we have. And I could probably track down the students too. But I will let them know that and how they should proceed with turning in the information. And thank you. I don't know how, we can lead a horse to water, right?
Yeah.
We put it out there, we publicize it, and, yeah, okay. So,
Dependent upon the teacher.
it is, and it is, yes. So more importantly, we
So
will
that's-
celebrate these 2 young people that we have, that we do have the applications for, and they sound like really great kids, so glad we can do that, so thank you very much. Excellent. Anything more on that? Okay. So we are on to our action items. So first, all right, Michael, this is, okay, you're ready, all right, I know. So the first item on the action items is what we referred to earlier, that Dr. Newman explained for us. So we will approve to a resolution to honorably dismiss our temporary paraprofessionals, only to rehire them further down the action items. Item 2 is to approve the fund balance reports for April of 2022. Number 3 is to approve the expenditure report and projected payroll report for May of 2022. Items number 4 and 5 were struck. Item number 6 was approved destruction of closed session tapes from January of 2018. Item number 7 is the personnel recommendations listed. That is a lot of additions for the fall, which is really, really great. We also have an FMLA, a leave of absence and absence without pay, a couple resignations intent to retire, and then a couple resignations as well. So if I could have, please, a Oh, I skipped ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was waiting, I just.
See, I circled A so I wouldn't mess up. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so first of all, action item A, if we could please have a first motion to approve the resolution to honorably dismiss our temporary paraprofessionals.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Rachel, and a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Judy, and a roll call.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Judy Rayson,
Yes.
Claudia Parker,
Yes.
Denise Jones,
Yes.
Michael Aumiller, yay. Colleen Clemzak,
Yes.
passes.
Thank you. And since I've already read all of the words under consent agenda item B, sorry about that, that was the personnel recommendations and the financial transactions. If I could have a first motion, please, to approve item B.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Claudia. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Michael. And a roll call, please.
Claudia Parker,
Yay.
Michael Aumiller, yay. Denise Jones,
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Judy Rayson,
Yes.
Colleen Clemzak,
Yes.
passes.
Thank you. Item number C is to approve our summer school staff as outlined by Mrs. Vermeer. If I could have a first motion, please,
I'll make the motion.
and a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Denise. And a roll call, please.
Judy Rayson,
Yes.
Denise Jones,
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Claudia Parker,
Yes.
Michael Aumiller, yes. Colleen Clemzak,
Yes.
motion passes.
Excellent. Item number D is to approve a new PE position for Central Middle School for the 2022-23 school year. If I could have a first motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Excellent. And a roll call.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Denise Jones,
Yes.
Michael Aumiller, yes. Judy Rayson,
Yes.
Claudia Parker,
Yes.
Colleen Clemzak,
Yes.
motion passes.
Excellent. Item number E is to approve our 2022-23 strategic plan. If I could have a first motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Denise. And a second.
I'll second.
Thanks, Judy. And a roll call.
Denise Jones,
Yes.
Judy Rayson,
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Michael Aumiller, yes. Colleen Clemzak,
Yes.
Claudia Parker,
Yes.
motion passes.
Excellent. Item number F is to approve the resolution regarding South Suburban School Purchasing Cooperative. If I could have a first, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Michael. And a second?
I'll second.
All right, Claudia. And a roll call.
Michael Aumiller, yay. Claudia Parker,
Yes.
excuse me. Colleen Clemzak,
Yes.
Judy Rayson,
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Denise Jones,
Yes.
motion passes.
Excellent. Item G is to approve our Consolidated District Plan. If I could have a first motion, please.
First.
And a second.
I'll second.
Thanks. And a roll call.
Denise Jones,
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Michael Aumiller, yay. Colleen Clemzak,
Yes.
Claudia Parker,
Yes.
Judy Rayson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Excellent. Item H is to approve to decommission outdated curriculum resources. If I could have a first, please.
I'll make the motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
And a roll call.
Judy Rayson,
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Michael Aumiller, yay. Denise Jones,
Yes.
Colleen Clemzak,
Yes.
Claudia Parker,
Yes.
motion passes.
Item I is to approve the adoption of Eureka Squared Math. If I could have a first motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Excellent. She's ready. And a second.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Denise Jones,
Yes.
Claudia Parker,
Yes.
Colleen Clemzak,
Yes.
Judy Rayson,
Yes.
Michael Aumiller, yay. Passes.
Excellent. Okay. Item J is to approve the Board of Education donation to Evergreen Reads not to exceed $2,450 for the purchase of the 14th Goldfish book. If I could have a first motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Michael. And a second.
Second.
And a roll call.
Michael Aumiller, yay. Denise Jones,
Yes.
Colleen Clemzak,
Yes.
Claudia Parker, Judy Rayson,
Yes.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
motion passes.
Excellent. And then finally, item K is to approve the Judy Mulchron Scholarship recipients. If I could have a first motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
You got it,
And a
Rachel.
second, there you go. And a roll call.
Rachel Merrickwin,
Yes.
Michael Allmiller, yay. Denise Jones,
Yes.
Colleen Climzak,
Yes.
Claudia Parker,
Yes.
Judy Rayson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Excellent, okay, so next we will recess to closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or legal counsel to determine its validity, and collective negotiating matters between the district and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. All in favor? Okay, we'll recess to closed session. Thank you. And thank you for everyone for being here.
Thank you so much.
Are we taking action now? Okay, all right, fair enough. Great. Thank you very much. Okay, too much sitting. That was a lot of information, a lot of
Sorry. It's May, we're trying to fit it all in, so.
Goodness. All right. Oh, need more standing. Too much sitting.